Since Phantom Blood kicked off the modern franchise in 2012, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has caused nothing short of a cultural revolution within the realm of anime. From the series receiving a brand spanking new adventure theme park, a status only reached by other notable names like One Piece and Tokyo Tower, and the Studio Ghibli Museum dedicated to the entirety of Miyazaki's iconic films, to TikTok trends, to art books, this series has surely cemented itself across a wide variety of mediums in the history books of us weebs. And with the recent announcement of Part 6 Stone Ocean being slated for an anime adaptation, the fire within JoJo stands across the world has rekindled. The Ora Oras, the Muda Mudas, the Redo Redos, the... Get ready to hear these sound bites left and right, spamming them in the chat as we rise up. And for you poor souls who aren't on board yet, who haven't gone through the rite of passage that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, now is that time. Sail into the magnificent sunset with us as we explore this beautiful, strange, bizarre ocean. A stone ocean, if you will. And also the 95% of you who aren't on board yet, subscribe, and like, and roll the intro. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is incredibly hard to describe, but the one word in my mind that I always think of is unique. When someone asks me if they should watch JoJo, while my internal mind is screaming, yes, 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 I almost always tell them, yeah, you should. It's one of the most unique anime I've ever watched. From the art style to the whole concept and how it drastically shifts between different tones and genres, it's truly a wild card. One where I'm sure that even if you don't love everything about the show, you'll find at least one thing just because there's so much. The first and most notable to an outside viewer, I think, is the art style. There's truly no other anime that can even compare to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure's art style. Not to say it's like the best art style of all time, but more so like it's so distinct that comparing it to others just doesn't really feel right. The skies are colored in different palettes, and the normal colors of characters are often inverted for special effects like surprise or shock, which would normally feel really weird and really strange to see. Like, imagine if you're watching Attack on Titan and then Big Monkey Boy just goes... Like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like an actual anime. It's abrasive, but in JoJo, I think because of the tone of the show and the extremely out-of-ordinary character designs, it somehow works. I mean, there's stands of all kinds which are all colored and designed in such alien ways. For anyone who's really interested in art and wants to see just how far anime can take manga and put it into a colored and animated medium, JoJo is certainly a must-watch. But what am I thinking? I got so caught up in the beauty of it all that I forgot the most bizarre part of all, the power system. Let me get some background before I get into that, like the plot, but actually that's kind of difficult. I'll give an abridged version. Essentially, we follow a bloodline of JoJos, starting from Jonathan Joestar, to Joseph Joestar, to Jotaro Kujo, to Josuke, to Giorno, and now in Stone Ocean, Jolyne. And the plot changes with each new main character, from fighting vampires in part 1, to fighting old, powerful, like, Mayan dudes who came from stone, to part 2, to, like, fighting a bunch of mercenaries, to random people, to mafia members, to... oh my god, there's so much. We follow all these different characters in the separate parts of the series, so we already get an extremely diverse set of main protagonists and their parts' respective antagonists. And on top of that, we have the power system, stands. Stands are, again, up there in my opinion with Nen from Hunter x Hunter and Chakra from Naruto for being one of the best power systems in anime, and if not the best, then one of the most iconic. Stands are basically visual materializations of someone's life energy. They have varying abilities, from cool fighters to weird like gremlin boys to whatever your heart can imagine. And most, if not all, of the main characters, both good and evil, have one. I mean, if you haven't watched it, to give you scope, there's dozens upon dozens of episodes of JoJo's now, almost all of which feature a new antagonist every episode who has a different stand. There's Grateful Dead, which makes people age the hotter their body temperature gets. And then there's Cheap Trick, a little baby looking dude who attaches to people's backs and drains their life force, and then transfers between people only if they see that person's back. Like, some of these are just so obscure. It makes JoJo's super unpredictable. You never really know what's coming next or how these stands will interact with each other. Each scenario is very different because of the stands in play, so the show never really feels complacent, it stays changing. And then you've also got the tone of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or more specifically, the combination of extreme masculinity versus gender-bending poses and feminine styles. The series started off more so on the former side, with Jonathan being like the most masculine dude you'll ever see. And Joseph's pretty similar, and Jotaro is literally just an insanely jacked high schooler who has an even more jacked stand and goes around beating up people with brute force more often than not. You know how there are like really obscure and niche stand powers? Jotaro? Fast, strong boy. Plus a little bit of... But in parts 4, 5, and 6 now, we're seeing the show stray away from that into more flamboyant styles. From Josuke's pompadour to Giorno's bright pink getup, to, a girl and Stone Ocean as the main character. And this shift has been arguably essential to the series' growth, I think. The very norm-defying poses that TikTok has made into a trend from Dio, to the more colorful backgrounds and outfits in recent parts. With the diversity that multiple parts and protagonists offer to the series, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is able to change its tone so easily to reel in so many more fans. It keeps getting bigger and more crazy with each new stand and character who's introduced. And because there's so much going on, there are times when the show kind of strays away from the main plot to address, new stands or random enemies. We see this in part 3 with Jotaro, where like the first 30 episodes of the series, it's just him and his gang fighting a new enemy each episode. We also see this a lot in part 4, which has a very different feel from a lot of the JoJo series. But also in say part 1 and 2 and 5, it focuses very heavily on the overarching plot and goals, so the show does have this duality to it. Which I don't think is bad, actually. I think focusing on characters over the plot is important to flesh out the JoJo world and the people who inhabit it, and their stands, of course. This video has basically just turned into a really long rant about the many good parts of JoJo. But I just kind of wanted to talk about it now that Stone Ocean is announced. Everyone is hype. All of my friends are talking to me about how hype JoJo is gonna be. And I'm excited. Are you guys? Leave a comment down below if you're excited for JoJo's, what you think about Stone Ocean, or what you think about the series in general. As always, this has been the Anime Culture Corner. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future in-depth show, manga, and character analyses.